Adam is my name. My age is 26. This year, I'll receive my college degree. It's not like I had to retake a year of school or anything. I just graduated later than most because I spent nearly 3 years studying abroad in different nations. My parents had a strong commitment to education. When I made the decision to study abroad, they didn't stop me. When I was younger, I felt like parents never got upset with me for anything as long as I was pursuing my intellectual curiosity. I could have been somewhat different from others because of my distorted perspective on education. I was indoctrinated with the idea of a higher education from an early age, and it was assumed that I would do well in school. I've always felt that my parents had higher expectations for me. Perhaps I was feeling constrained by them. So I made the purposeful decision to study overseas. It seems that I could pick up languages more quickly than other people. After a week in a new place, I would begin to pick up the language. I guess the first indication that I could speak was when I started having those language-filled dreams. My dreams would cease to be in Japanese the moment I began speaking that nation's language. I was able to acquire more than 5 languages in this method. I was in a position where I was unable to pursue my desire of studying more at institutions overseas. My father died unexpectedly. I made it back home in time for his memorial service. I drank a small drink with my mother the night my father's burial rites were officially fulfilled. This was probably the first time I'd ever seen my mother consume alcohol, except from New Year's. My mother gave me a serious look as my graduation was approaching and told me, "You are free to live your life as you wish." Her surprising remarks caught me off guard. I'd assumed she supported my father's philosophy of elevating himself to the pinnacle of Japanese society. It appears that my mom was taking a unique perspective on my circumstances. Even though I chose to study overseas after high school, I was still following the route my father had set for me. I got bewildered when the path in front of me was abruptly eliminated, and I was told to do whatever I pleased. I was therefore unable to decide whether to look for a job, and as a result, I am currently unemployed. I consider the significance of living as you like, as my mother said, every day, but I have no idea what she means. My mother merely quietly keeps an eye on me. I have no idea what I want to achieve or become. The world seems to have been patiently waiting for me to take a step forward of my own volition. Then I came across a sign one day. It happened when I went to the neighborhood convenience store to get a sandwich. Beside the door was a notice that read "Staff Wanted" written on the glass. It seems that the elderly woman who was consistently present during the day had retired. She hadn't been around recently, I observed. I had never worked part-time before, so I just stood at the door and watched the store clerks go about their business. It appeared to be enjoyable in some way. Perhaps saying thank you to folks at work would be a great job. That was my emotional state. I thought of my mother's advice, give it a shot, it's okay to fail. I made the decision to enter the convenience store while keeping it in mind. The manager emerged from behind the counter when I said that the crew was looking for a sign. He appeared to be in his 50s and had a calm, pleasant manner. It was useless to hide the fact that I had never worked part-time before. I told him the truth from the beginning. The manager gave a sympathetic nod. He appeared to believe that I was a disorganized mess that had no job and spent the entire day walking around. "I'm glad you've made the decision to work. I hope you can come along. May I begin at tomorrow?" he said, grinning. I had not written a resume, by the way. The manager then informed me that I may bring it to work on my first day. Things moved along so rapidly it was almost a little frightening, but all of a sudden I was working at the convenience store part-time. I was one of 4 part-timers working at the convenience shop. I was at the register most of the time, helping the neighboring housewife who came in during the day. I had no idea what to do, but I quickly got used to working at the convenience shop because of the manager's and the other part-time employees' thorough instructions. I pondered whether the experience at other convenience stores may have been different. I sincerely appreciate all of the employees at the convenience shop. Emma Miller, was the part-time worker who worked the graveyard shift. She was 6 years younger than me. She was ranked above me at the store, and I was at the bottom. She is referred to as the night lady because she exclusively works at night. Mary, a high school student, also works there after classes or on her days off. She is so upbeat and joyful. Her parents oppose her having a job. She has a sense of independence, which I believe is great, but as a parent, you would find it harder to say the same. Wow, that was a long day. Emma, the night lady, came in with a helmet. Naturally, I looked at the time. Emma's shift starts at 8 o'clock in the evening, which is too early. What's happening on with this heavy snow? Is this not too early? Emma angrily retorted, "Remember, I'm off today." She left a note indicating that she needed to speak with the manager, so it appears that she was giving me some advice on how to better understand the shift schedule. Emma went straight back to the rear room. I left Mary working at the cash register and went to the back area, remembering that I also needed to talk to someone about something related to my job. I reasoned that it wouldn't hurt to take a short break since there weren't any customers at that moment. Emma and the manager were in the back room talking about shift schedules, as was to be expected. "Manager, I also want to talk about something related to the shift. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, my father's first, and I would like to take the day off." Sure, the manager, who appeared to be setting up the calendar for the holiday season, gave me assurance and arranged for my vacation. Adam can cover for me when he can't. Emma volunteered to work every shift I had during the day. Despite her outspoken exterior, she is a sensitive person. When I first saw her, I seemed to have been a little afraid because of her short black hair and the delicate silver necklace that gleamed over her collarbone. Her favorite carb was a DX125. She worked at this convenience store part-time for a long time. I thanked Emma with a bent head. It was Mary in the front, and I heard her voice suddenly agitated. I noticed some foreigners working at the cash register and hurried to check. Mary was attempting to converse in English, but it appeared that they were fluent in French rather than English or Japanese. The linguistic issue was impeding both parties. Mary gave me the go-ahead. Replacing her, I said. It turned out that the tourists were French and had poor Japanese and English skills. I am fairly fluent in French because I spent a long time living there. The clients appeared to be relieved to have someone who understood them. When I turned to face the rear room entrance after assisting the French customers, Mary was looking astonished. "Adam, you're really talented. Are you fluent in French?" Her appraising stare made me slightly uncomfortable. Then, I started getting asked a ton of questions about my degree, how many languages I spoke, etc. That's quite remarkable. "Do you have any experience studying abroad?" "My dream is to visit museums worldwide," she declared, adopting a resolute expression. "I have to practice speaking other languages." Her resilience is what makes her so amazing. She uses setbacks as teaching moments. I thought her smile was a wonderful characteristic as I watched her. Emma, who generally worked the late-night shift, arrived a little early the following day. From the rear room, she called out to me. "Could you please stop by for a moment, Adam?" I thought for a split second that I was about to be robbed, but that was not the case at all. "Hey Adam, could you help me learn a language?" This unexpected request caused me to let out a startled "what?" With her hands folded in front of her, Emma started to beg fervently. "I've been saving money for my ambition of taking an international tour. When traveling, communication is essential, don't you think? I never attended college and never took the time to properly study a foreign language." Emma mentioned that she has never been good at studying. She said she understood last night how important it is to speak another language after witnessing me deal with a French customer. Speaking the local tongue makes you feel incredibly connected to the locals. "Adam, I aspire to be just like you. How could something make me feel bad? I can teach you the fundamentals of conversation as long as it falls within my area of expertise." Thus, I chose to grant Emma's request. That's how I ended up being Emma's personal foreign language tutor. We worked out a plan, and I began teaching her each language in turn. So, where are you going to go initially? Emma said, I'm thinking of touring Europe, and she clicked on a link to a company that plans trips abroad. She regretted that it was financially difficult for her to purchase a large motorcycle and go on her own travels. Videos of motorcyclists hurtling down narrow roads tucked between mountains could be seen on the website. It appeared thrilling as well as fun. Emma looked at the video with sparkles in her eyes, and I couldn't help but feel a little jealous. Emma gave me a somber nod as I remarked, let's start with German and English. It appears that I will excel in the field of foreign languages. I feel a little pleased of myself because the positions are reversed. But as soon as we started our study sessions, a significant issue surfaced. Emma is very perceptive and fast to figure out what's wrong. I was a lousy instructor. I had no concept how difficult it was to explain to someone who didn't understand what I understood. I learned languages intuitively, therefore I was unable to respond to Emma's reasonable inquiries. Emma would become agitated every time we studied and yell, explain it so I can understand. Mary, our mediator, would then intervene. Adam is a born talent. There is no way about it. However, imparting knowledge to others is also a fantastic way to learn for yourself. Mary would intervene and calm things down, even when we were fighting and the mood was high. She was a true gift from God. As our study sessions went on, I became aware of how disconnected from other people I was. I had thought that everyone could accomplish what I could. Perhaps that's the reason I never had any pals. I felt awful, possibly the worst I've ever felt, realizing how conceited I had been. When I told Emma about my problems, I was a little let down by her response. How come? Are you angry about that? Adam, isn't that just a component of who you are? Really? It's not that big of an issue. She was so direct that I felt foolish for being offended. It's interesting to note that despite our disagreements, Emma and I would always get along. We appeared to get along in the most peculiar ways the following day. I have never been so emotionally invested in someone else as I was with Emma, and I couldn't help but feel that she was growing in significance to me. Naturally, I lacked the bravery to confide in her about these emotions. The idea of being turned down was horrifying. Another event happened at the convenience store one day. Myself and Mary were on duty that day. The manager was in the rear of the store, hard at work. Mary was giving me advice regarding her college plans, the one her parents wanted her to attend and the one she truly wanted to attend. These two simply don't line up, which makes things difficult. Mary appeared to be trying to convince her parents, but it appears that they shared my father's elitist beliefs toward education. The prolonged fight between Mary and her parents was upsetting her, as is always the case. I was struggling to find the right words to express something encouraging. A couple burst into the silence as they hurried inside. They bolted for the pay register, which was just in front of Mary. Dad, Mom. The couple that had hurried in turned out to be none other than Mary's parents, the ones we had just been speaking of. Mary allegedly told them falsehoods about leaving her part-time work. You stated you were quitting your job. Mary, what is happening? Your attention should be directed toward preparing for your college admission tests. Mary's mother said this and reached across the counter to hold Mary's hand. She seems determined to pull her home. Please, just relax. Is it not evident that Mary is agitated? Why don't you discuss her future in a more positive manner? When I said those things, Mary's mom shot me a harsh look. How much do you know? At your age, you're a part-time employee at a convenience shop. Did you attend any college at all? Or did you earn a degree from a subpar university? I was offended by her disrespectful remarks, but I also didn't want to boast about my degree in front of others. Mary, don't you have a fantastic dream? Why are you against her attempting to determine the quickest path to realizing her dream? Mary's dream is to travel the world and visit art institutions. Her ultimate goal is to attend college, major in art history, and work as a curator at a museum. It's an incredibly beautiful dream. I expressed this to Mary's parents quite strongly, but Mary's mother gave me a mocking snort. Will you be accountable if Mary doesn't pass her college admission exams? What if she chooses to major in art and has difficulties later on? Is it truly possible for her to alter her college preferences in the time she has left? Her statements had me completely stumped for words for a moment. Mary had me in the corner of her begging eyes. Her look made me harden myself. I got it. I said, I will get her accepted into any college. Mary's parents looked at me like I was some kind of alien. Recognized. You got one chance to try, but we'll let you try. Permit Mary to apply to one school in particular. If it doesn't work out, you have to do as we say. Mary's father, who had been observing our conversation in silence, remarked quietly. Maybe he wasn't exactly against Mary's dream. I swear, I replied, meeting Mary's father's eyes directly. Mary's mother appeared to want to speak, but her husband politely asked her to go. I ended up coaching Mary starting the following day after talking a big game. My days quickly got hectic with tutoring, my part-time job, and supporting Emma with her foreign languages. Will Mary's application be accepted without any issues? I barely completed my high school education, thus my knowledge of the application procedure is limited. However, isn't it a lot of work to switch to your favorite school at this point? Emma asked me, a little worried, while she was reading a German book and holding a dictionary. I said, I think you'll be fine. However, even though the application procedure ought to go smoothly, I think Mary's goal cannot be realized without her parents' support. Well, you need to accept accountability and persuade Mary's parents. She makes it seem so simple, but I'm not sure I could pull it off in real life. You know, my dad was the same way. He constantly encouraged me to pursue academic excellence. I didn't know what to do after he died. How embarrassing is that? With a scratchy head, I said, Yes, that was kind of what I expected. Emma giggled. You do give off a pampered golden boy vibe. What do you mean, golden boy, all pampered? I was a little irritated, like I was being made fun of. It indicates that you were loved. It's advantageous. I was ashamed, even though I wasn't sure if she was making fun of me or congratulating me. When you're working hard, you look cool. I was so humiliated by her remark that I covered my face with the magazine I was reading. Emma laughed again, seeing my reaction. Regarding Mary's exam scores, they went incredibly well. She got accepted to her first choice of art college. Her grades were also exceptionally high, and she was awarded a scholarship that would pay for half of her tuition. Mary's parents gave up to defeat at last. They both thanked me while sobbing, apologized to her mother and me. That was most likely the first time I disclosed my college of attendance. I was really unprepared for the level of surprise shown by everyone there. Mary accomplished her goal of taking a step toward her goals. She has the freedom to now forge her own path. Mary will likely decide that, I suppose. Emma, however, received a large motorcycle. She is preparing for a worldwide tour and is fluent in French, English, and German. I was shocked, watching the two of them closely. The only person pacing in the same spot is me. It seems like everyone else is progressing while I'm standing still. I felt little and insignificant all of a sudden. I think about what I want to do most every night while I lay in bed, but I never come to a decision. This is not how I would approach arithmetic problems. Mary came over to me and looked worried, seeing my daily depression. I made the decision to discuss my predicament with Mary. I was curious to hear Mary's ever-positive thoughts. I waited nervously for her reply. Why must it be about who you want to be with instead of what you want to do? That's, I believe, what people mean when they talk about revelation. Who I want to be with matters more than what I want to do. Maybe what I really want is to be with that person. I thought I had come up with a really great response. As always, good evening. The night lady, Emma, showed up for work. I had a startling realization when I saw Emma. I blurted out, can I ride on the back of your bike? To her out of the blue. Beside you is what I want. Mary suddenly confessed, squealing in shock. Emma appeared perplexed, her eyes widened in shock. I'm not sure if you got it. This is not a road trip invitation. I want to be with you because I like you. I started to clarify, but Mary interrupted me as Emma paused, a puzzled expression on her face. Later, she chastised me for not being more delicate. Emma smiled reassuringly and sighed sweetly. It's okay to hang out together, but practice riding your own bike. That's how Emma answered. Her short hair showed off her bright red tips of her ears. With a scratchy head, I vowed to try my hardest. Handle it with care, I said as I mounted Emma's bicycle. She asked me if I wanted to try it out in the parking lot of the convenience store. Unconsciously, I shouted out, "Really? Is everything all right?" Emma added, I revved the engine, feeling its vibration for the first time, with difficulty. Its force captivated my attention. Ellen, please report to driving school on Monday. After my first experience riding a large bike, I was fired up. I was eager to take solo charge of a motorcycle. Oh, look, you've discovered what you really want to do right now, Mary exclaimed, sounding as though her theory had been validated. Admittedly, she was dead on. When you shift your viewpoint, a whole new landscape becomes visible. Consider an alternate route when you encounter a wall. Even though it's basic, I found it difficult. 2 years later, while pursuing her undergraduate degree in art history, Mary started visiting art museums all over the world. She declared that she would use every penny she saved from her part-time work to fund her future. For my part, I continued to experience that energy while passing through previously unexplored areas. The only sounds I could hear were the wind and the engine of my motorcycle. Emma took the lead. She handled her large bike with grace and dexterity. Emma was so good at cornering that I had trouble keeping up with her, but I was still glad we got to see some new places. Milan, Italy is our journey's destination. I'm going to bow down to her when we get there. I've made up my proposal's opening line. I want to follow you for the rest of my life. She may be a little surprised. She might sigh and smile while saying, just ride freely. Alternatively, she might blush and turn red in the ears while averting her gaze in an attempt to conceal her humiliation. The very thought of it makes my heart race. Even if Milan is still far away, this journey's end will mark the start of my life with Emma. That's what I think.